Liam Brady, at 69, how he lives is sad. Yes, the Irish football legend, whose career took him from Arsenal to Italy and back, has ended up in a place few would have imagined. Once the darling of Highbury with his magical left foot, Brady now lives a life far removed from his glory days, feeling disconnected from the game he once mastered. The elegant midfielder who captivated fans with his vision and passing has gradually faded from football's spotlight, his story becoming one of football's most poignant tales of disillusionment. Born in Dublin in 1956, Brady showed remarkable talent from an early age. By 15, Arsenal had spotted him and brought him to London, where he signed professional forms on his 17th birthday in 1973. His debut against Birmingham City that same year marked the start of something special. Fans instantly fell in love with his exquisite left foot and stunning array of passing. Arsenal supporters quickly recognised they had a rare gem on their hands, a player whose technical ability stood out in an era when British football often prioritised physicality over finesse. Playing as an attacking midfielder in the number 7 shirt, Brady quickly became Arsenal's most talented player. His finest hour came in the 1979 FA Cup final against Manchester United, now known as the Liam Brady final, where he contributed to all 3 Arsenal goals in a memorable 3-2 victory. Between 1973 and 1980, he made 235 league appearances and scored 43 goals for the Gunners, becoming the creative heartbeat of the team and establishing himself as one of the club's greatest ever midfielders. But Arsenal had a reputation for being stingy with homegrown players, which pushed Brady to seek new challenges. This financial approach potentially limited their ability to retain top talents like Brady and Frank Stapleton, hampering their chances of consistently competing for major honours. In 1980, he moved to Juventus for £500,000, becoming one of the first foreign stars in Serie A after they'd lifted restrictions on international players. For Brady, this represented both an exciting new chapter and a sad farewell to the club that had shaped him. At Juventus, Brady shone brightly, winning 2 Serie A titles in 2 seasons. His elegant playing style and technical prowess were well suited to the tactical nuances of Italian football, earning him respect and admiration from fans and peers alike. But football can be cruel. When Serie A expanded the foreign player quota to 2 in 1982, Juventus signed Michel Platini and Zbigniew Boniek, forcing Brady out despite his contributions. At just 26, when many players are reaching their prime, Brady faced the first major disappointment of his career. The heartbreak came when they told him before the 1981-82 season even ended that he'd have to leave. Imagine knowing you're being replaced while still fighting for the club. The news hit Brady hard, even leading him to request being relieved of penalty-taking duties. Yet, in the final match against Catanzaro, with the title on the line, Brady showed his class by stepping up to take the penalty that secured the championship for Juventus, a club that had already decided to discard him. This moment perhaps best encapsulates Brady's career. Brilliant talent mixed with cruel timing and circumstance. Brady continued in Italy with Sampdoria 1982 to 1984, Inter Milan 1984 to 1986, and Ascoli 1986 to 1987, but never again reached the heights of his Juventus days. Although respected throughout Italy, he won no further trophies during this period. In March 1987, he returned to England with West Ham United for £100,000, a fraction of his earlier value. He spent 3 seasons at Upton Park, experiencing relegation in 1989 before retiring in 1990, scoring in his final game as West Ham beat Wolves 4-0. A fitting end to his club career, but by then, the more painful chapter of his story was already unfolding on the international stage. His international career with Ireland should have been the crowning glory, earning 72 caps and scoring 9 goals between 1974 and 1990. But here's where the story turns especially sad. Jack Charlton's appointment as Ireland manager in February 1986 marked the beginning of Brady's international heartbreak, setting the scene for what many Irish football fans consider a tragic waste of generational talent. Brady's elegant technical style clashed dramatically with Charlton's direct, long ball approach. The philosophies couldn't have been more different, Brady having honed his skills in the more technical environments of Arsenal and Serie A, while Charlton favoured a pragmatic British 4-4-2 system focused on getting the ball forward quickly. John Giles, another Irish footballing legend, felt that Charlton's tactics didn't fully utilise the quality of players available, particularly Brady. Despite helping Ireland qualify for Euro '88, their first major tournament, Brady couldn't participate. He was suspended after being sent off in the final qualifier against Bulgaria, then suffered a cruciate ligament injury while at West Ham. The initial 4-match ban was reduced to 2 on appeal, offering hope, but the injury completely dashed his chances. After years of service to his country, Brady missed the opportunity to represent Ireland at their historic first appearance on that international stage. The biggest blow came with the 1990 World Cup. Brady had initially retired from international football during qualifying, but made himself available when Ireland qualified for the tournament in Italy, a country where he was revered after his successful years in Serie A. Charlton coldly refused, selecting only players who'd been part of the qualification process. For Brady, the rejection was particularly painful given his deep connection to the host nation. In one particularly humiliating episode, Charlton substituted Brady before halftime in a pre-tournament friendly against West Germany. Brady immediately knew his international career was over. Even more bizarrely, Charlton once mistakenly called Brady Ian when announcing the team, confusing him with notorious serial killer Ian Brady, a stunning show of disrespect to one of Ireland's greatest talents. While perhaps unintentional, this incident highlighted the disconnect between the manager and one of his most celebrated players. Brady expressed feeling discarded by Charlton, though they later reached a degree of reconciliation, with Charlton writing an apologetic note. The damage was done. Brady maintained that their fundamental issue was rooted in their differing approaches to football rather than personal animosity. Nevertheless, Brady missed out on playing in major tournaments despite being Ireland's most gifted footballer, a career without the international stage his talent deserved. After retiring, Brady tried management without much success. At Celtic, 1991 to 1993, and Brighton, 1993 to 1995, financial problems at both clubs limited his chances. He won no trophies during his tenure at Celtic, and his time at Brighton ended prematurely following a disagreement about the club's operational management. The transition from brilliant player to successful manager, a path many greats have struggled with, proved challenging for Brady. But in 1996, he found his calling, returning to Arsenal as head of youth development. This appointment by then vice-chairman David Dine was significant, as Brady was given an independent role, not directly tied to the first-team manager, ensuring continuity and stability within the academy structure. For 17 years, Brady nurtured young talent at Arsenal, developing players like Ashley Cole, Jack Wilshere, Cesc Fabregas, Kieran Gibbs and Bukayo Saka. Arsenal's youth teams thrived, winning numerous titles including the FA Premier Youth League, FA Premier Academy League titles and the FA Youth Cup on multiple occasions. When he stepped down in 2014, the club made him an ambassador, keeping him around but without real influence. The specific reasons for his departure were never publicly detailed, but the shift to a ceremonial role marked another step in Brady's gradual distancing from the heart of the football world. Brady also had a brief spell as assistant manager of Ireland under Giovanni Trapattoni from 2008 to 2010 before his Arsenal commitments pulled him away. But in June 2023, at age 67, Brady announced his retirement from punditry after Ireland's Euro qualifier against Gibraltar, and his reasons reveal the sad truth of his current state. Brady has fallen out of love with modern football. The commercialisation, the money, social media's influence, and the loss of traditional values have all pushed him away from the game that made him famous. "I'm not in love with the game anymore," Brady admitted in a candid moment that shocked many fans. His final comments as a pundit showed his disillusionment, describing the current Ireland team as the worst group of players that any manager has had in my lifetime. These weren't the bitter remarks of a former player, but the honest assessment of someone who had given his life to football only to watch it transform into something he barely recognised. Now approaching 70, Brady has retreated from the football world. Unlike other legends who remain central to the game, Brady lives a quieter life, disconnected from the sport he once played with such grace. His autobiography, Born to be a Footballer, was published in 2023, and a documentary, Liam Brady, The Irishman Abroad, aired on RTE that same year, perhaps the final chapters of his public story. Earlier in his career, he participated in an Irish anti-drugs campaign called Give Drugs the Boot, showing his willingness to use his platform for positive social impact, but such public appearances have become increasingly rare. The sad reality is that Brady's style of play, technical, elegant, creative, has become increasingly rare in modern football. The man known as Chippy to Arsenal fans represented a different era when skill and artistry were valued above physicality and systems. As the game has evolved into a more athletic, tactical, and commercially driven spectacle, players of Brady's ilk have become fewer, and his appreciation for the modern game has diminished accordingly. Brady's life now is far from the adulation he once received. The boy from Dublin who conquered English and Italian football now watches from afar, unable to connect with what football has become. The game has moved on without him, leaving behind one of its most gifted sons. While his legacy is secure among those who saw him play, newer generations may never fully appreciate what made him special. There's a profound sadness in how Brady's story has unfolded. A player who should have graced the biggest international stages never got the chance. A football brain whose tactical understanding was exceptional found himself at odds with the game's evolution. And a man whose left foot created magic now finds little magic left in the game he once loved. For Arsenal fans who remember his elegance, for Juventus supporters who witnessed his penalties, and for Irish fans who never saw him play in a major tournament, Brady remains a figure of what might have been. And that might be the saddest part of all, that a player of such extraordinary talent never received all the recognition and moments of glory he deserved. Liam Brady, at 69, lives a life disconnected from football, disillusioned with what the game has become, and perhaps wondering what might have been. For a man born to be a footballer, there can be no sadder ending.